so he sent me the plan. So
Okay.
I have that as well.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to be recording this, and we're actually live streaming it. So you might want to tell your people they want to share the stream.
Jeff? We're going to be live streaming this if you want to share the stream.
So it'll be on my Facebook, YouTube,
that,
and
Tiffany?
Periscope. Yep. It'll be on my Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. We share one of those 3 links.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And so my guys, once he tells me, he's getting color bars now. Okay. Okay. He said it's live. Periscope is always first. Do.
Jim Messina.
Alright. So I'm seeing Periscope. Make sure Facebook is up. And make sure YouTube is up. Periscope, you're good. Dun, dun, dun. YouTube is over here. Your shot sit over here. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Periscope is live, Facebook is live. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Need him to do a countdown? Tom, go ahead and
1,
count.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess we're not walking around rolling. I guess we're not walking around today.
Well, it was so funny. The little sun peeked out over there. That all of a sudden the rain came back. So, but I got an umbrella. So, plus I play golf in this. Ain't no big deal. This ain't heavy rain.
Not going to melt.
I play golf and it's easy. All right. Yep.
Got it?
Got that. All right, cool. So we are live on all 3 platforms. All right. Once you got that one set, take off color bars and we're ready to roll. Can we pull that 2 shot out just a little bit? That's what it's not cutting off my left shoulder. All right, cool. That's good. All right. You're in the shot, Tiffany.
Tiffany, you're making the shot a lot better. Don't you listen to Roland.
You're in the shot.
Don't you listen
It's
to
all
Roland.
good. All right, you ready? All right. All right, folks, my Roland Martin Unfiltered fans, we are here in Charleston, South Carolina with Tom Starr. Good to see you again.
Roland, nice to see you, Tim.
All right, first and foremost, before we talk about your 27-page plan for Black America, it did not take long for Vice President Joe Biden to come after you in last night's debate. Do you think he is concerned with the inroads you're making with African Americans?
Well, of course he is. I mean, I think that he's under the impression that somehow it's not right for somebody else to compete for votes in the African American community. And I think that obviously African Americans, in my mind, have been the moral leaders of this country for a long time. This is a state that has a very high percentage of African American Democrats. And I'm looking for South Carolina African Americans to lead the country again and to set a new stage for where we go as a Democratic Party and as an American.
Let's actually talk about that because obviously you spoke at the National Action Network Ministers Breakfast. 65% of Black voters in this Democratic primary,
Right.
African American. This is the first of the first 4 primaries where Black voters really get a say.
Yes.
What has it been like for you as you travel around this state what have you been hearing from African Americans, what they want out of a Democratic nominee?
Well, let me start by saying, Roland, and I think you know this, that I've been here more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hear from African Americans in South Carolina, but also across the country, is this: broken promises from politicians. They want somebody who actually will tell the truth and deliver. Because I think African Americans have been hearing a lot from Democratic politicians every 4 years when they show up for votes, and not much in between. So I think the first thing is they want to believe that what someone says is going to be true. I think what they want to believe, what they want, is an acceptance and an awareness of the fact that there is a gross racial subtext in virtually every policy area, and that it's systematic, that it's deep, and that unless it's addressed, you're not going to deal with the subtext of racism, and you're not going to deal with the policy itself. And so I think that African American voters want an awareness that, hey, this has been going on forever, and it's time for it to stop, and we've got to start talking about it directly, talking about how we got here, and talk about what we're going to do actually to repair things going forward.
Were you surprised when you brought up reparations in the debate, how quickly conversation shifted?
You know, without teasing, no one will even talk about it. You know, I'm for it, and I say I'm for it because I think it's important to tell the truth. And I think reparations are about truth. It's about saying something happened, something terrible happened. It's caused a lot of damage. We need to admit both those things, and then we need to talk about how we repair the damage that's been done. What I see, and this wasn't the only debate, well, I don't mean to be cynical, but I remember the last time they asked people, and I think both Pete Buttigieg said he was for a House bill that no one knew what it was for. I mean, people don't want to talk about reparations. And it's funny, I was talking to an African-American woman several days ago, and she said to me, look, there are people on that stage who want to have free healthcare for everyone in the United States. There are people on that stage who want to have free college for everyone in the United States. There are people on that stage who want to have free preschool for everybody in the United States. Or there's only one person who wants to talk about repairing the damage of slavery, which has been going on for 400 years.
But isn't one of the other issues that is very interesting? You come to South Carolina, and all you hear in mainstream media, black voters, black voters, black voters, black voters, black voters. In Nevada, it was Latino voters, Latino voters. Yet, I actually never hear any of these people say white voters.
I agree with you, and there's an assumption here, which I don't agree with, that somehow everybody else is a special interest, but that white voters are the main interest. And you know that, as you know, I'm from California. California is a majority minority state. Everybody's a minority. There is no majority. So in fact, you know, the idea that you're talking specifically to an issue that directly relates to the community is normal. It's absolutely appropriate, and there is no majority who is, you know, in the background all the time as the actual voting control. It's not true in California. So it's a completely different way of thinking.
Let's talk about this plan you released. It's 27
Pages.
pages. It deals with, obviously, voting, voter ID, deals with the census, also increasing representation of African Americans in government, healthcare reparations. One of the things that, of course, Senator Elizabeth Warren talked a lot about is the issue of maternal care, and it's very interesting because when I had a very pro-life black conservative on my show, was talking about why do you support people who abort black babies and on and on. And I said, wait a minute, you're pro-life. Show me where's your plan that deals with maternal care, dealing with prenatal care, dealing with what's happening with black women in childbirth. I said, if you really want to, I said, you want to deal with me on this pro-life issue? I said, okay, are you pro-life in terms of the womb, or are you pro-life
forever? I completely agree with that. I mean, are you now for making sure that there's subsidized childcare? Are you now in favor of Head Start for everybody? Are you now in favor of universal preschool for everybody? I completely agree. I mean, there's a real question here. Well, I mean, Elizabeth Warren's point about maternal care and how different it is for black women than for white women is true. You know, there is racism in this system. Some of it is specific, some of it is attitudinal. And it's true that, you know, you can look at the exact same system and black women get different treatment given the exact same circumstances than white women. And it's racism from the people who are delivering the service. And it's got, you know, it's sort of like saying in the criminal justice system that there is racism in the way that police officers treat people on the street based on color of their skin. Yeah. And the same thing is true, it turns out, in the hospital and maternity.
When we talk about criminal justice reform, you have on here, restore the Department of Justice, also restore judicial discretion through repealing mandatory minimums.
Yes.
There are a lot of Democrats who have been voting for mandatory minimums on the federal and the state level as well, obviously in cash bail. You know,
which we did in California. You know,
gotcha.
I pushed really hard. We did it. Mandatory minimums really were a way of making sure that the system had no leniency, had no discretion, and was harsh. I think that somewhere, you know, after post 1980, there was this absolute reckless, racist attempt to incarcerate as many people as possible in as harsh a way as possible for as long as possible without any concern for their humanity, without any concern for their family, or any concern for rehabilitation, or, you know, what happened after they were incarcerated. I don't think there's any question about it. And mandatory minimums were part of it. In California, I pushed to end something called automatic sentence enhancement. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It basically says that if you get convicted of a crime, if you have a previous crime, you automatically get a longer sentence. Automatically.
Right.
And it's just another word for mandatory minimums. Harsh sentencing, automatically the judge has no discretion. That's all that really is.
I was very much bothered in the debate when there was one question that came up to do with housing, yet the moderators didn't even mention the fact that black home ownership at its lowest rate since housing discrimination was legal.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there going, okay, like literally no mention of that. And so when we talk about your particular plan, let's talk about what it means in terms of what will you do at present to deal with the housing issue, not only affordable housing, but the home ownership rate.
So let me, I want to answer that question, but I want to give a little preamble to it that I think you know. I started a community bank 15 years ago to try and bring money to black people, Latinos, and women that I felt the financial services industry and banks discriminated against, to support people in terms of black entrepreneurs who couldn't get a loan to build their business. Affordable housing, we've supported over 8,500 affordable housing units in the last 3 years. Every single place where we felt there was discrimination, we were trying to go after it to provide the money that otherwise would be available if there weren't prejudice. In terms of, if you look at this plan, we know that there's been redlining forever. We know that in fact, that's a huge reason for the disparity in black wealth versus white, black family wealth versus white family wealth. The inability to basically tap into family wealth generator, which is a home supported by a mortgage, where you pay down the mortgage, the house goes up, and that's your wealth. One of the things that in there is subsidizing down payments for people. And that's got to be done. Look, when I talk about reparations, and I'm for reparations, the question to me is not whether there should be reparations, but the best form for them to take. One of the real questions here is, given the redlining, given the discrimination, given the fact that people are shut out of it, is the answer to give people down payments. And what I don't want to do, look, as a white person, it's absolutely improper for me to sit here and say this bad thing happened, here's how we're going to address it. It is okay for me to say I think this bad thing happened. We have to recognize it. Now let's tell the story and sit down and come up with the solutions together, because we need to explain how we got here, but we also have to explain why the solution fits how we got here and how it's going to take us forward. And one of the real questions here is, should there just be down payment systems? Yeah, that's one of the things I definitely am sitting here in the back of my mind thinking, we know there's going to be a lot of money. We know it's got to count, it's got to be meaningful.
Right.
The only question is that what's the best way to, and I don't want to prejudge. I think that there's a real question. This has got to be, it's like all the recreation. People have got to be sitting there talking about what happened and what the right thing is to do.
Well, because the reality is, I mean, look, my parents are 72. My dad will be 73 years old in April. My mom will be 73 in November. And the reality is they had to deal with the issue of they were impacted by these housing laws.
Yes, they were.
And there are significant number of African Americans who are still living. And so when people talk about, well, slavery is so long ago, not realizing that there are people who are living who had to deal with Jim Crow. And we're talking about, look, Fair Housing Act was only signed in 1968. You're talking about, again, we're dealing with enforcement. We're now into the 70s.
Look, the other thing that's true, Nolan, is this. Look, I was talking last week to a guy a black guy who runs a movie theater, a fancy movie theater with a bunch of, sort of food court stuff associated with it, who wants to build a series. Very successful. He previously worked at City. I mean, this is the kind of guy you think, okay, this is a guy banks put my money to, right? Obviously. Couldn't get a loan. Couldn't get a loan. Had to finance his money completely from a shoestring. When he finally got a loan, the rate was 15%.
Right.
That is a tax on being black. It's a
Well,
very
first of all,
heavy tax on being black.
Well, absolutely, because if you look at it's the same thing with student loan debt. You look at credit, you look at high interest rates, and so the tax comes in auto loans, it comes in home loans, and poor people are having to pay a much higher rate. Yes.
And that's exactly why we started the bank. You either can't get anything, or you're paying a usurious rate that rips you off. And that's what we're saying. No, that's why we started the bank. Just to say, that is prejudice. That is discrimination in a way that hits people right where they live, in their pocketbook. It's just not fair. And so when you look at what we're trying to do, you're talking about homeowners. Our attitude is give people. Do I want to double the minimum wage? You bet I want to double the minimum wage. Do I want to cut taxes for people who make less than $250,000 by 10%? I definitely want to do it.
Right.
But do I want to also put new people in charge of their destinies, own their houses, own their businesses, have control, not just get a good deal? Yeah. That's really the purpose, is to change who's in control, change all of that around.
The last question that again I didn't hear come up last in the debate, when we talk about black businesses, the fact of the matter is there are 2.6 million black-owned businesses, but 2.5 million have one employee.
Yes.
And so you talk about capacity to be able to grow as well. How does your plan address that, and not just in terms of capital, but also contracts? Also, when it comes to, I'm reading Bob Brown's book, he talked about the Office of Minority Business Enterprise and how that really opened up the opportunities for black businesses when Nixon was president, but he was the one who was charged saying, no, we're going to create these opportunities for black businesses.
And Roland, you heard me say this morning, that they just built the Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas.
Right.
And 1 out of 100 contracts went to a black-owned business.
Right. 1 out of 100 contracts for a stadium that black players are going to be playing
dominate. 60%, 80%, I don't know the number, but it's something in that range.
Right.
And so I look at that and I go, that's just absolutely, and that's why I said, anytime you talk about pushing for inclusion of black business, people start going like quota. I'm saying, oh, there is a quota. It's 99% for the Old Boy Network. That's the quota.
Right, and it's still happening on a federal level. Look, it's a $1 trillion 401k plan, pension plan on the federal level. African Americans only manage 100 million of the 1 trillion,
and they have a higher
and do better.
And so my point on this is exactly we need to acknowledge this explicitly. It's being acknowledged every single day in a negative way, implicitly. We have to bring that out, and then we have to repair it. There's something wrong here, and unless we call it out and talk about it, then you can't say, hey, 1 in 100 contracts in Raiders Stadium. That just can't happen. Cannot happen. So let's stop the world here and decide how we're going to change that number, and we're going to have black-owned businesses that are doing this work, so that black people are in charge, so they can build their business, build their wealth, and get control.
Alicia,
I want people to have control.
I do. This is the last question. Alicia Garza sent me this. She said, ask Tom about the belt you brought back from Africa.
So I went over to Africa. I'm wearing it. I wear it all the time. It's from Kenya.
Okay.
I went over there to look at schools for girls. Because in a lot of the world, including in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Rwanda, girls don't get educated the same way as boys. Not as long. Because, you know, that's a classic gender-based thing. It's all over the world. The reason I wear the belt is some friends of mine were supporting schools just for girls, poor girls, so that they could go through high school. Turns out, girls don't. They say that. Everything good happens. If you literally said the number one thing you could do to stop the climate crisis in the world,
Right.
educate girls. And so the reason I wear the belt is to remind myself about the importance of doing the right thing towards people, that it has a ripple effect. It goes on forever. And doing the wrong thing, it has a ripple effect. It goes on forever. And so I wear the belt. The same reason I wear the cross on it. Say, do the right thing. A lot of good things happen that you intend, and a lot of good things happen that you never thought of. But that's how good things, that's what you're on the earth for, to do those things.
Well, I know you got to go campaign. You released the report. People can watch TomStar.com. They can actually go take a look at it.
And if they have suggestions, Roland, I want to hear, look, that report wasn't written in a boardroom. That report is a result of years of talking to people on the street, of going to people's homes, of seeing how people live, seeing what's really going on. I am someone who believes every single policy should be racial subtext. And just as we were discussing in terms of the greater state, unless you talk about it, then there's a race, then there is inherent structural racism that exists that you're not pushing back against. That's what this report is about, pushing back against structural racism that often goes unspoken.
All right, Tom Stein, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Good luck on Saturday. All right.
Okay.
Anthony.
Hey there.
Okay. All right. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
All good.
So,
All right. So all the folks who are watching us live, first and foremost, thanks a bunch. And so just so y'all understand, the deal is only supposed to go live if we use our isolated microphone. Sorry. Hold on one second. Hold on 1 second. What the hell? Call Keenan. What the hell did you do that for? I was talking.
I think we're trying to figure out timing if they're okay doing it on the back of that event.
I mean, you probably can replay now. I mean, I don't think you need it anymore. I think you were just trying to close it out.
Right. I was trying to tell everybody to watch Elizabeth Warren rally with John Legend at 6 p.m.
You can shut this one down too.
Hey, don't kill it until I say kill it.
All right. So yeah, cool. So yeah, but
You want me to drive? Yeah.
Where's the bag with the microphone?